one movie that I really like, Sean Penn goes full retard when he does I Am Sam.
You're not supposed to say that.
But it's a joke.
But it's a joke.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 51 of the Movie ReBrew podcast. I'm your host, Keegan Holland, and with me is my co-host, Mike Jennison.
What's up, everybody? Hey.
This week, since there's no big movie release, we brought on our buddies Charlie and Antonio to talk best movie soundtracks. We do a deep dive into a number of different genres and different kinds of soundtracks, and then decide our top 5 at the end. It's a really long one, but it's really enjoyable. Those two are both musicians, so they give an interesting look into a lot of stuff that I'd never really thought of. We talk about a lot of stuff, too. We cover a lot. This is one of my favorite, if not my straight-up favorite thing we've done yet on the show.
We might talk about 100 different movies.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
We do
at least mention.
Yeah. We tried our best to break them into categories, but at the end of the day, there's just so much to work with, so we kind of get off the rails at the end, but that makes for us getting into more stuff, which is probably for the best. Not drinking any beers this week, since we recorded this a couple weeks ago, and now we're just doing the news here. But what would you pair with a best soundtrack episode, Mike?
I wanted to get Great Lakes, their Czech Pilsner. It's called, what's it called? It's got a vinyl on it. It's called something.
It's like disc, right? Or turntable?
Turntable IPA.
Yeah.
Or it's a Czech Pilsner, so it's not an IPA. I haven't had it since we went to Prague, so I've been kind of interested to have it, because those Czech Pilsners are growing on me by the end of it.
You mean the 7 inches of foam and an inch of beer?
Yeah. Only there am I pumped to get that much head, but
yeah, that was weird that they did that. But yeah, you're right, it grew on me too. Their lukewarm, foamy beers, for some reason, had a bit of charm to it by the end of the trip.
I mean, if you gave me that in America, I'd be just disgusted and upset. But
all right, so let's get into the news then.
Good evening. I'm Will McAvoy.
And I'm Evan Baxter, and here's what's making news.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world tonight.
Adam McKay was talking about this music number he had in Vice, and how he was very upset he had to cut it. I think you've talked about it before on this pod, just in passing, and we're like, why would you cut it? The movie itself was just. Movie jumped around a lot anyways. They cut and started doing a Shakespeare sonnet thing, and they pretend to end the movie and show credits. So if you had this music number, why not just throw it in there? The movie itself was kind of a mess, so it just seemed weird that they took it out. And I was kind of upset because it sounded pretty cool. So they released it today, I think through Rolling Stones or like last week. And it was really bad, boring, and I understand why they took it out. Adam McKay said he took it out because PTA said, Adam, you don't need that. It doesn't really anything in the movie, and, it's already kind of long. So I just think PTA said, dude, you did not do that very well, because I don't think it's very well done at all. What about you?
Yeah, shout out to PTA for that move. Pretty similar takes where I was surprised they took it out because, like you said, it's kind of a bloated mess with a bunch of different shit thrown in. But yeah, after watching it, I see why they took it out. It's not very good. And it's barely a musical. It's like, who is that woman, by the way?
That's the lead singer of Alabama Shakes.
Okay. So, yeah, she is a good singer, but I feel like she sings like one line, then it's 30 seconds of dialogue, and then like one line. It's not really a musical. And it's poorly done. It's not catchy. And he's doing the thing he did in The Big Short where he tries to boil down a complex thing into a small, easy-to-digest idea. But yeah, it's just not as well-handled as The Big Short is. Like, most of Vice isn't well-handled. Yeah, I get why they cut it, and it's not a good scene. I don't know why he hyped it up for so long.
I don't know why he hyped it up for so long. It was a big disappointment. It's really bad, and it adds nothing to the movie. It's like the inner workings of DC, which they jammed down your throat a million times. Good call on PTA. It was only 2.5 minutes long, so I'm surprised they took it out, in all honesty. But it wouldn't have gotten original song nomination, or anything. It's not very good.
I would have been appalled if it did, because like you can't listen to that.
It's not a song.
It's not a song, yeah.
All right. More Vice news. Vice, Anna Perna, I'm mispronouncing that. The production. Right. That's right. The production company for Vice lost $15 million on Vice, which is crazy. But then Vice had a $65 million budget, which that doesn't seem necessary. They must have had to pay those actors a lot of money because the set's not that extravagant. I mean, the makeup is, but that doesn't cost that much money. So lost $15 million. And then If Beale Street Could Talk, lost $8 million. Actually, Anna Perna has been distributing movies since Detroit. Catherine Bigelow's last movie she did, it came out 2 years ago, and only movie that's made money for them since then is Sorry to Bother You. They do a lot of good work. They did Destroyer 2. Destroyer lost $7 million this year. So that's just, it's crazy. All those movies are extremely well reviewed and talked about a lot, but the masses just don't see these kind of movies. Even with the Best Picture nom, and Beale Street Could Talk was nominated everywhere too. Just it's tough to turn a profit for indies in modern times. And then Vice wasn't really an indie, $65 million budget, that was bloated. So I could see why that lost money. But if Beale Street Could Talk, Destroyer, all these movies losing money for Anna Perna, I don't think they're going to be able to make it too much longer. So that's too bad because they actually do nice work.
Yeah, Annapurna is pretty much a seal of approval from me. It's like that A24 Fox Searchlight. When you see that logo, you know you're in for a good one, or at least an interesting one. Some of those aren't very surprising to me. If Beale Street Could Talk isn't surprising. Destroyer isn't surprising. But Vice was surprising to hear 15 million. That's a big chunk of money, but
Huge.
I also didn't expect it to be a $65 million movie. But yeah, Best Picture, huge names in the cast. I thought it was seen by a good amount of people, but yeah, that's surprising to hear. I would hate to see them fold because I think they've been around longer than 2 years though. They just started
They just started distributing movies.
So maybe they'll shut that branch of it down. I hope they stick around because yeah, they're a great studio. That's a bummer though. That's a lot of losses in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, tons. Yeah, I somebody's got to change. But yeah.
Yeah, and Detroit. Did you see the Detroit?
No, did you?
No, I really wanted to, just because Catherine Bigelow, and it was John Boyega's first movie since The Force Awakens, but...
And it got really good reviews,
yeah, but it came out in, I want to say, August, and just kind of got buried by other things.
Yeah, but they do really good work. They did Her, they did American Hustle, they did stuff like that, and now they started distributing stuff, and since they started distributing stuff, Detroit, Phantom Thread, The Sister Brothers, If Beale Street Could Talk, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Vice... Destroyer. So yeah, they do good work. But
maybe they cut a check with Netflix, because if you're not getting a theatrical release, you'd hope you'd recoup some of those costs. But yeah, that doesn't help.
No, it does not. Let's see, what do I have anything good here? I guess the last bit of news. Do you have anything to say about the Avengers trailer?
No, we're both in the same boat here, where we're 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out almost. There's really no reason to see a movie that we're already sold on, or we're going to see anyways. I think the first two did a good job not showing anything, but I fear this one may show a lot more than the other two. I've caught a couple glimpses of screenshots here and there on Twitter, but nothing that gives too much away. Yeah, I'm going to avoid this until the movie. I don't think I'm going to watch it afterwards, but yeah, I think we're just going to skip this one.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the trailer. I'm actually really excited for this movie. I don't get too amped for super movies these days, but this is cool. It's the end of a long era of 21 movies in the making. So yeah. I'm excited for it. I just really wish, I wish there was still I don't know how they could have done it, but we know Black Panther, we know Spider-Man's going to live this. I just wish there was a way that I actually thought they were going to be gone forever. But yeah. I don't know how you pull that off.
Too much money in those franchises to not keep them going.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, I'd be blown away if they stay dead. That would be insane. I
mean, Spider-Man already has trailers coming out.
Well, yeah, so I guess he has to come back. I mean, yeah, now that he's coming back, there's room for anyone to come back, so there's not too many stakes left. It just going to come down to execution.
And also, I guess, death of, we think Iron Man and Cap are going to die.
Right.
Maybe some more, but,
yeah, how they handle the original Avengers. They released a poster, too, which looks awesome.
Yeah.
Disney's gotten really good, or Marvel's gotten really good with their posters. They started out really bland and just, faces, but now they're super vibrant, and I like their posters a lot.
Yeah, Thanos' head, how it's faded in at the end.
Yeah,
that's sick. The last bit of news I want to say is, because we talked about it last pod, Us still at 100%, 52 reviews and 52 thumbs up. That will be our movie next week, and I know we're both juiced about it.
Can't wait. Yeah, not much to say other than I'm excited for it. Oh, did you see that picture of Taika Waititi in front of Jordan Peele's
So funny.
Love those two.
Actually, I want to say this. The critic consensus on Rotten Tomatoes thought it was worth mentioning out loud. With Jordan Peele's second inventive, ambitious horror film, we have seen how to beat the sophomore jinx, and it is us.
Wow, that was a sick write-up by that intern. Yeah, I'm juiced. I forgot that was next week. That came so quick.
It did. It's very, 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 very exciting.
Was it announced at the Super Bowl?
Kinda. It was like, he announced it, I'm like, holy shit, it's coming out that soon. So, pretty pumped. All right, that's it for news for me.
Cool. All right, let's kick it over to us from 2 weeks ago with Charlie and Antonio.
Good luck, Mike. Kill it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1 second, please.
Fight the powers that be. Fight the power.
I just can't wait to be king.
Uh-oh.
We now welcome on friends of the program, former guests, you love them, Charlie and Antonio.
Hey.
Hello, hey.
Hi.
Glad to be back. You must have loved me the first time.
One
That was a weird-
half of Holy Smokes, the outro
Sing
song.
tune.
So,
Antonio, we were going to
bring-
spring break.
oh, Jesus.
Florida.
Get ready for just constant yelling and battling
What?
for time. We bring you two on as the musicians to cover the best soundtracks in movie history. We will not
Good
be
choice.
covering any scores. We may come back to that later, but pretty much everything else is on the table. Musicals, Disney movies, original soundtracks, non-original soundtracks. It's a lot to handle, but I think we're
Opera.
up for it here, huh?
Let's
I
go.
have my doubts.
Ready to do it.
All right, so just have a question up top. For you guys, what makes a great soundtrack, aside from obviously good music?
Tony, you want to
Better-
take it?
No, not
Charlie
really.
points to the
Okay,
goal.
I'll
Hold
take
on.
it.
Go
So
ahead.
I was thinking
please.
about this the other day. And yeah, there are different ways we could rank what the best soundtrack is, right? I mean, if you just look at an album itself, you buy the CD and, which is the best collection of songs, that's one way to rank it. I don't think that's the way we'll be talking about it today. Obviously, the interplay between music and the scenes, how music drives a film along, but then how those songs stand on their own. A collection of those things is what, to me, makes a good soundtrack.
Right, I agree.
Rather than
Like,
just a list of the director's favorite songs.
Which is what I
Correct.
would do if I
But-
was a director. Just make everyone listen to my favorite songs.
yeah.
Which I think we can cover some of those too. Some of the worst in soundtrack as
Yeah,
well.
like I was
saw
going to say,
definitely into that
a
later.
good list of songs, for example, would be like Suicide Squad has an awesome soundtrack
Yeah.
on paper, but in practice it's awful. It's just in a 6-minute span they play like 20 songs and nothing gets any played. They don't really relate to the scene at all, and it's just a disaster. Whereas something like Forrest Gump, which has just as good a list of songs, actually uses them the correct way. So the interplay between the scene and the song itself is
a
crucial.
lot of the same songs too.
Yeah.
Funny enough. Yeah.
How many songs are on Forrest Gump's soundtrack?
I think
like
30
35?
31 is it?
31?
Damn.
Just looking at this, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great list.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one of the greatest hits of the greatest rock hits of the 60s to
And on that
80s.
note, when I was doing some research for this, a lot of lists, your Pitchforks, your Rolling Stones, would have a movie like Superfly near the top, which obviously Curtis Mayfield, great artist. That soundtrack is amazing on its own. But then if you go and the film itself is not really something that is known for being a great film.
Right.
So
I've never heard of it until I
You've
was
never
reading
heard of
those
Superfly?
lists. No, until I was reading those lists as well.
yeah. So
it's
I
on
mean,
like every list though.
I
It's
know,
crazy.
but
Yeah.
But I mean, the album itself, if you listen to it, it is great. But it's another angle of I don't think we're talking about just that collection of songs, and more about what does it mean to a film. You have to mean something to a film. There has to be some artistic connection, some sort of something deeper than just the songs. And I think that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Antonio, you want to jump in on that?
No, I think you said it well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Charlie did well. Good job, Charlie.
Good job, Charlie.
Oh, thank you. Why don't we start it off?
Yeah, let's. So, Antonio, you
Where do we
mentioned
even-
directors before this, and Charlie, you said the Rolling Stones list. There's a lot of repeats in terms of directors. I think some of these I'm about to name are considered the best directors of all time. And how important do you think music is to where they stand in history? Do you think it's like a crucial part, or is it just so happens these guys like the music I like or whatever?
Well, I think a good soundtrack really makes a good movie. They
Do
kind of
you
go hand in
think-
hand.
I mean, for example, you take Pulp Fiction's soundtrack away from it. Do you think that movie still works?
No, because that
No.
it
It's
is
not-
what the movie is.
It creates
You know what I'm saying?
the universe that is like that you like to be in when you watch that movie. That's what the music does. I think it would still be a good film on its own.
Yeah.
But
I think it's
not-
an essential part of the thing. If it's
Yeah.
like taking away the costumes or the settings or the
There's
It's
no
like
movie
sauce,
there.
essential,
Yeah,
right.
It's like they're actually singing songs and dancing to the actual soundtrack and stuff like that. It's not just background noise.
Right.
So
Right. It's diegetic in some points, and
Yeah.
it's just background music in other points.
but then it still makes scenes. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's crucial. I think it's a cornerstone of that movie.
So
And if
there's
you-
these are some of the names I saw repeated: Quentin Tarantino, the Coen Brothers, Danny Boyle, James Gunn, John Hughes, Richard Linklater, David Fincher, Martin Scorsese, Edgar Wright, Spike Lee, Paul Thomas Anderson, Cameron Crowe, Sofia Coppola, Wes Anderson, and Rob Reiner. Like, these guys had at least
What a
2 or
sausage
3
fest!
in each one.
I mean, that sums it up perfectly. If you were going to make a list of the best directors of all time, I mean, those guys would be all over that list, and
Yep.
it's no coincidence that they turn up on the best soundtracks.
Yeah.
I think it goes to show how artistic vision the artistic ideas for them goes deeper than just a good shot or a good close-up or something. It's about creating this environment where, like in the case of Pulp Fiction we were just talking about, it creates its own universe, a sort of cultish thing about it.
Yeah, for sure, and it often helps like define the time as well. Like Forrest Gump, it covers 3 decades, but you hear a song, you know exactly where you are before you even see anything. So
Yeah.
it does a lot more than just sound good.
A CCR song for a Vietnam scene, you know.
Who would have
Exactly.
thought?
Yeah.
If Fortunate Son is playing, there's Charlie in the Trees. Which is something that Suicide Squad fucks up immediately. 5 minutes into the movie, they're introducing a character. They play the Rolling Stones' "Sympathy for the Devil," and they play a different character. They do "Fortunate Son," and the guy's in jail. He's not in Vietnam. He's like in an American prison.
I think that was John Fogerty's intention when he wrote this song, is that this is for all Vietnam War movies.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Post from last year uses CCR in its Vietnam scene.
Had 2 minutes of non footage and CCR was blaring in the background. Gotta love it.
The biggest unnoticed trope in all of Hollywood.
I think it's noticed. I think Family Guy does a joke on it.
It's noticed, but
So I
still
have
goes on.
I
Apocalypse
split
Now
up
doesn't
into a
use it.
couple categories here. The first one, because a lot of people when they think soundtracks, they go right to Disney, right to Pixar. So here's the big ones from the 80s and 90s, and then a couple newer ones. Toy Story, which I don't think people talk enough about the soundtrack. What's the
Really
guy's name
good.
again?
Whatchamacallit? Short
Randy
people.
Newman.
Randy
Randy
Newman.
Newman. I wanted to say Paul Newman so bad. Yeah, Randy Newman.
would've been wrong.
He does the first and second one. I mean, You Got a Friend in Me is an all-time classic.
I'll go Sailing
He's
No
been-
More's also off
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
He's been working with them for, well, since the beginning, I guess, since Toy Story. He did Cars soundtracks for all 3 of them.
He did.
He did a few
Bug's
more. He
Life?
did Princess and the Frog, I think, too. Yeah, Bug's Life.
I'm
And
a
he's
bug.
also
You're a bug. Bug. One of the
Wow,
guys.
Randy Newman is so underrated in his effect on like children's stories and songs. Such an underrated artist in the United States today.
me and Charlie went to see Randy Newman. It was
We did.
magical.
He
Is
did
it-
a couple of the Toy Story tunes. It was awesome. We were
Yeah.
front row.
There
It
you
was
go.
great.
Number one, we have Coco. A soundtrack I loved, especially. Mike, what's the name of that song? I'm blanking.
Remember Me.
Remember Me, of course. I couldn't remember the song.
Or
Yeah, that's great.
Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
Coco?
That's the
And
singer.
Coco.
Oh yeah.
Didn't even think about Coco.
Remember
and then-
Me sung 4 different ways in that movie.
Yeah, and it slaps
Look at
every
the
time.
soundtrack right now. Yeah, it does.
Was this Pixar's first time
Here we
doing
go.
like original, like in the movie music?
Yes, that pretty sure.
Hopefully they keep it up. They crushed it. And then we get into the Disney Renaissance here: Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Lion King, the granddaddy of them all, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, Hercules, and then Tarzan, which is a little different. But Mike, you want to take Disney movies here? This is your bread and butter.
Yeah. Well, I guess we start Lion King. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Circle of Life. I Just Want to Be King. Elton John did the music for it, and
Yeah.
it's my favorite Disney soundtrack.
It's probably most people's.
Tim Rice did the music for it.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer did the score. I guess we're not getting into scores though. So I mean, you just have a collection of all this talent, and they just knocked it out of the park. It was right in the middle of the Disney Renaissance, and yeah, everyone knows the tunes.
Right. Yeah. That's why I said when people think soundtrack, this is where they go.
Hakuna
because
Matata. Forgot about Hakuna Matata.
For like
Yeah.
7 movies in a row, they really couldn't miss, and pretty varied music too. Aladdin with the Middle Eastern theme, Little Mermaid, Jamaican, I guess.
Little Mermaid's really good too. Beauty and the Beast. So it started with Little Mermaid, and they really just wanted to make Broadway musicals for animated movies. That was the idea. So it kind of follows that traditional, I don't know, the traditional way of that.
That way of singing, that way of writing music.
Yes, there's a villain
Theatrical.
song. There's a villain song.
Very
There's a
theatrical.
duet where people fall in love. There's
Right.
an intro song. You know, they followed that for what, about 10 years until Tarzan, where the music wasn't sung by the characters.
Yeah, just want to bring that up. I think Jordan Peele summed it up best when he said, Phil Collins did not need to go that hard on this soundtrack, but damn it, did he? Something like that. Yeah, Phil Collins absolutely crushes this soundtrack, and the NSYNC feature on the album.
It's my favorite, I think, of all the films you just said. I mean,
My favorite Phil Collins work, for sure.
yeah, it's amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
Can't fault you there.
But did you
Randy
say
Newman-esque.
did you say NSYNC did the did work on the soundtrack, the same
yeah,
song?
So
The Pan song, right?
That
Yeah.
song on
Oh,
the soundtrack,
yeah,
it's
great song.
them instead of
Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell is the monkey?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's Turk.
Turk,
Turk,
yeah. No, Turk's the elephant. Or no, Tantor is the elephant.
Yeah, I believe Turk's the monkey or
Turk
the gorilla.
sounds right.
Yeah.
We all haven't talked about Pocahontas, which Colors of the Wind might be the best Disney song. That song's awesome.
I've never actually seen the movie though.
I'm
I've
getting-
heard the song, but
I'm getting 3 blatant looks here, but yeah, that song.
It's a good song.
I'm thinking about it. No, it's nice. Yeah.
And plus, it
That-
actually has some meaning behind it.
If I was making a list compiling the best Disney songs to top, like it would make it in my top 15, top 18 or something. I don't know if I'd say definitely number 1.
I really like that song. Just Around the River Bend's also in that, which I just kept saying in Europe anytime we saw a river.
the River Thames.
The River Thames, the River Seine.
Hey, if it's memeable.
Yeah.
It's got to be good.
And then into some newer Disney stuff, Frozen
Right,
and Moana.
We can't forget Hercules either in the 90s.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Rossi will
That's true.
start crying.
It's Michael Bolton, no?
Yeah.
Is he sings the Hercules voice?
Yeah, the big song in that movie. I Can Go the Distance. Yeah, it's Michael Bolton.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's badass.
It's weird
Great
how they
song.
mix gospel music with ancient Greece. I think it
love
works.
it.
I think the music's awesome.
I think
in
it
that
works
movie.
great. Yeah.
It's great.
It's
Yeah.
the right choice. It was the only choice.
Underrated Elton John soundtrack, not Disney but DreamWorks, is El Dorado, Road to El Dorado. Did you guys see that one?
Yeah, I really like that movie. I'm not
Yeah.
remembering the soundtrack right now, but I think that was a favorite of mine as a kid.
Like The Trail We Blaze, It's Tough to Be a God. Good songs. Elton John. Love it. Just
Had no
watched
idea.
it.
Listen.
No idea Elton John did that.
Yeah, another. Phil Collins did Brother Bear too, didn't he?
I think
Really?
so.
No. There's the Salisbury Hill is on that, but
That's
and
Peter
that's-
Gabriel.
yeah. But I don't think he wrote any music for the movie. It's just like his friend Peter contributed a song.
Wait.
I don't know if they're friends anymore. I can't say that.
They're the same person. Who knows?
They are.
And Frozen
hate it.
and Moana. Disney trying to kind of bringing it back. I think
Yeah.
I've not
Moana's
seen
better.
either of these.
Either of those.
Moana's soundtrack's awesome.
It's very good.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy did Hamilton. He did the soundtrack on Moana. I love it.
My
That's-
You
nieces
mean the
and
guy with the
nephews,
terrible Cockney accent in Mary Poppins?
the very same.
Yes, that guy.
If I were to ask my nieces and nephews their favorite soundtracks of all time, Moana is the answer. They love it.
Okay.
They eat it up.
They have great taste. That's what I'll respond with. The Jungle Book has a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the monkey song. Love that one. Want to be like
you and
you. Want to
Sesame.
be like me. Yeah.
Well, those are jams. Thought we should throw it in there. Mulan has a good soundtrack too. I think Frozen's
So does
super.
so does the second one. Have you seen the second one? It was right to DVD.
Mulan too.
Yeah.
There's a song on there that everyone loves from that one, but I have no idea. No, I've never seen it. Aladdin second one was really good too, actually. That was strict to DVD.
Aladdin 2.
So yeah, there's Aladdin. Like there's 3 Aladdin.
Return of Jafar.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Antonio just
That's what it's called.
flashing emojis over Skype. Yeah, but those are some underlooked ones, the directed DVD or directed VHS ones, but they're still pretty good.
How about a Goofy movie soundtrack?
Oh, what's that guy's name? Electric Slide? What the hell's that guy's name? Oh,
Yeah,
Power?
what is the how?
It's Power something. Can't remember.
I think everybody who loved the Goofy movie as a kid turned out to be a skateboarding dude.
Antonio, were you a skateboarding dude as a teenager?
No way. I can barely get from point A to point B on one of those things. I think I learned how to turn last summer.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we should mention Charlie's mom is in the same room as him. So if you hear
We have an audience.
a woman's laughter, it's her.
A woman's laughter. Literally the first female voice on this podcast.
Yeah, actually, probably.
Throwing shade, but yeah, it's true.
That happens sometime.
Happy
And then,
2019, everyone.
Anything else
Yes.
said about Disney or Pixar? Or I guess any animated movie, really.
This is really making me want to go listen to all these songs. They are also catchy and fun and lighthearted, but I can't think of anything. I don't know them that well.
I mean, Shrek 3.
Shrek. I should mention Shrek. Growing
One.
up, I had Shrek 1, Shrek 2, and Shrek Sing-Along Karaoke soundtracks. They're good, man. They are good. Especially at the end of Shrek 2, they have a fake American Idol ripoff.
Oh
Those are
yeah.
good songs.
Also,
Those are good
the
Those
end of,
movies are weird.
the end of Shrek 1, they have like a bunch of songs in a row too. That medley of all those songs, it works. You don't
I
remember
thought
it?
love was only true in fairy tales.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Boo.
Yeah, no
Love
one
Shrek.
likes the monkeys. No one likes. I don't like that stuff.
All I know is Smash Mouth's on the original soundtrack, and
Hell
they're
yeah.
terrible. So
Whoa.
Very memeable, though.
Very
Very
memeable.
memeable. My next category here is soundtracks with a single artist influence. We mentioned Lion King and Tarzan. We got The Graduate with Simon and Garfunkel. Into the Wild with Eddie Vedder. Once? I didn't write it down. Like, who does Once? Glenna something?
it's the lead singer, right?
Yeah, it's not a big name.
Yeah, it's
Whatever.
the guy who is in the movie.
Yeah,
Is the movie called Once?
it
yeah.
is.
Once?
ONETH.
Once is
Yeah.
awesome though. It's Jim Carney, the guy who did Sing Street and Begin Again too.
Right.
It's Glenn Hansard. Glenn Hansard.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. He's that Irish guy. He's got that sultry voice.
Yeah, Falling Slowly Off That won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. It's a good soundtrack.
He hasn't
Irish-
done much besides that, huh?
I know him from nothing else.
Yeah.
But actually, he's got another song with that girl like 4 years later, which is also really good. But it kind of just stems off Once.
I'm going to start drinking my beer, which I forgot to start drinking. I'm drinking Dragon's Milk because Dragon Force is my favorite artist, and they're on Guitar Hero 3. Killer soundtrack. And then we got Curious George from Jack Johnson, Flash Gordon
Awesome.
from Queen.
That's right. I forgot about
I'm gonna
Curious
write
George.
that down. Jack Johnson and Curious George. That's great.
Tron Legacy, Daft Punk, Shaft,
Oh,
already mentioned,
yeah.
I believe, Isaac Hayes, Virgin Suicides, Air, About a Boy, Badly Drawn Boy, Magnolia, Amy Mann, Friday Night
Shout
Lights,
out.
Explosions in the Sky, and then Batman 1989, Prince.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I learned that today, that Prince did the Batman movie. I never saw it. He also did a movie called Purple Rain. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. I'm pretty partial to these ones. I love when artists can come in and just kind of do his own thing for a movie.
I want to talk about Magnolia for a second. Amy Mann, she does a cover of One, and she does Save Me. And Save Me, the actors sing, but it's her voice. They lip sing the song in the movie. That's maybe my favorite. Oh, man.
Is that One by U2?
No, that's
What, One?
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever see or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's a song. And then also Goodbye Stranger. She doesn't sing that. It's actually the actual version is in that too. Really, really good soundtrack. Love Save Me. Save Me was one of my favorite original songs I can think of in a movie. So super good. Also great scene because like everyone that cast sings it. It's really cool. That's it for Magnolia.
The Graduate is pretty consistently voted like the greatest of all time. I think for good reason. I think the best song quietly is April Come She Will from that movie. I think that's my favorite Simon and Garfunkel song, and it's awesome in it. But the most iconic is Sound of Silence from that film, especially the last shot.
April Come She Will a Paul Simon solo album song?
I don't think it is.
I've never seen The Graduate, but is it? Did Simon and Garfunkel write all the music for that movie?
I think
only
they did.
Only Mrs.
Yeah,
Robinson.
Okay.
I think
Are
everything
you
else
sure?
was, I think so.
The Sound of Silence was already out. That was like early 60s. But I thought April Come She Will was original for that too.
I thought I looked it up today, and I think it's only Mrs. Robinson, which is an awesome song. And I first heard it in Mrs. Seacrist's car with Charlie in Hocking Hills.
Mrs. Robinson wasn't finished.
Oh, really?
Mrs. Robinson wasn't finished when the movie came out. They never sing like the full real version of that movie.
And it sounds very different than what you hear.
On Spotify, April Come She Will is from a Paul Simon album from 1965, but it looks like it was re-recorded or maybe just included on Sounds of Silence the year later in 66.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably correct.
And this Spotify also says that Vincent Hahn is currently listening to Randy Newman. So shouts out to Randy Newman again.
Shout out, Randy. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I know Simon and Garfunkel had a lot of on and off before making it big with that soundtrack. I mean, well, they were big, but that was huge.
Well said.
Yeah, it was.
If you know what I'm saying.
The stratosphere.
I give them 5 succubuses.
Nice.
I give them 10
succulent.
succubuses.
I mean, and I don't know about you guys, but I can't hear those songs without thinking of that movie.
I can because I haven't seen it.
Fair.
This movie has gotten so much love on this podcast, I know, but I haven't seen the movie myself. I've just been a Simon Garfunkel fan for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I think of yeah, I guess so. I'll give it to Keegan, especially April Come She Will.
And then that's and for
My
me,
favorite song about months.
when we get to our top 5s, I'm gonna rank movies highly based on if I hear the song and think of the movie right away.
I think that's
a lot of these songs, even if I knew them before, I still intrinsically tie them to the movie in which I hear them. Obviously if they're good enough, but like Suicide Squad, I don't consider House of the Rising Sun. I don't really think of Suicide Squad when I hear that song, but you get what I'm saying.
What do you think of when you hear that song?
Probably a
Hero
house
3,
in
dude.
New Orleans.
I think of Country Bear Jamboree. Because they sing it in it.
Has anyone actually seen Flash Gordon?
No, I don't think it's real.
I've only
it's
heard the theme.
It's great.
Is it really?
Wow, that's crazy. It's Did it come out before Star Wars? I think it did.
I thought it was like an answer to Star Wars.
I think it's more of a question to Star Wars.
Flash Gordon's before Star Wars.
Well,
because
Flash Gordon was serialized like 1930, like little adventures that would show before movies back in the day.
okay,
Yeah.
the
Which is
film.
what inspired George Lucas to make Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I think the movie with Queen and all that, where he's the quarterback for the what's the story? He's the quarterback for the New York Jets, and he has to get sucked to another planet to.
You're talking to a wall.
But
I
you're
haven't
right.
seen this
But
movie.
but everything he said is right. It's 1980 and it's the New York Jets. So you're right.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah,
feel
no,
validated?
no, because it's not that great of a movie, and I don't know
feel-
very much about it.
You
So-
feel validated.
Before we
I'm-
move on, this is single artist soundtracks, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up one I was thinking about including in my top 5 list, The Pianist. It's got a lot of Chopin in it. It's like almost entirely Chopin. Or
Really?
as Tony Vallelonga calls it, Joe Pan.
Hey. Well, you busted
Yeah.
my balls.
I didn't know that The Pianist was Chopin.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's almost entirely Chopin. So-
I have to watch that. I've been binging that Chopin hard lately.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite films. Highly recommend it. Try to get Mike and Keegan to watch it, but they just fighting me like badgers.
Really?
I want to see it. I am all for seeing it.
It's on Netflix now.
Is it?
No.
Yeah, I wanted to mention.
I guess if we're talking about single artists
Yeah, go ahead.
and staying on this classical track, did you guys watch that clip from Amadeus, or have you seen that movie?
I've
never
seen a
seen
couple clips. I've never seen the full movie.
Okay, it's fantastic. Mike?
I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Antonio.
It's okay. I couldn't watch Casablanca last night either, but
So
we'll
Boo.
have a private
podcast.
the penis is the penis is on Netflix.
Before we move on, I want to say Into the Wild, Guaranteed, and Hard Sun are awesome. I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, though, so that kind of helps.
Hard Sun's a great song.
Yeah. I don't know if Sean Penn directed that movie, but I guess he did.
I didn't know you saw Into the Wild.
Saw it in high school. I didn't like it.
You read the book?
Yeah, I read the
Think,
book,
what do you guys? What's your opinion on the character? Did he deserve it?
yeah, he's an idiot.
An idiot. Agreed.
And then Curious George. Never seen the movie, but I've listened to the soundtrack numerous times. Jack Johnson's a legend.
Are those
Seen
all
the movie,
original songs?
Total
though?
Joyride.
Yeah.
Those are all original songs
I
from
mean,
the movie.
Upside Down alone
Yeah.
is worth that soundtrack.
It's a really fun movie. It's pretty short, I think.
It's like 80 minutes. Probably pretty short.
87
it's
minutes.
Fun. It's lighthearted.
The more you
You'll
know.
enjoy it.
Another single artist movie, Harold and Maude, Cat Stevens.
Oh, yeah.
You guys seen that one?
I have not seen
No,
that.
Big reaction from Mrs. Seacrist on that one.
Sue's a big fan.
She likes that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good movie. It's about this young man who falls in love with this old lady, pretty much. And
Gross.
I think Stevens wrote
It's gross, but it's really funny.
Yeah, it's gross and funny, and it's Cat Stevens, so it kind of makes it beautiful in a way.
You've recommended that movie to me a bunch of times, and I've never seen it.
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
not my
your go-to
favorite movie.
recommendation when you're
That's my
drunk,
go-to
Antonio.
recommendation.
Disgusted with yourself.
No,
I mean, you were drunk. You were drunk every time, but
Floyd would have a field day. And then, kind of on that same line, Wes Anderson.
Wes?
Wes.
Yeah. He does a movie called The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, Bill Murray. You guys seen that one?
I
haven't.
watched it for this podcast, and I really enjoyed the movie, but I have to say I was a little disappointed in the soundtrack. If I was going to pick a Wes Anderson movie to have be the top soundtrack, it would almost certainly be Rushmore. Not that
Rushmore
I've seen all his
soundtrack's
movies.
awesome.
But-
I agree.
Yeah, I want to talk about Rushmore in a second, but you didn't like Sue Hjorg?
No,
You
I
didn't
liked it.
like that device?
I enjoyed it. It was creative, innovative,
Yeah.
good way to do a soundtrack. But I never in a million years would have left that movie thinking, oh, wow, and what a great soundtrack, too.
I like Life on Mars.
Yeah, great song. Great song. But there were a lot of other better things about the movie, in my opinion, even though it gets consistently ranked like very high on these soundtrack lists.
Did it?
That's just my opinion.
I didn't really see it on too many lists. I think it's a very unique device to have. First to have it like diegetically like that. I've never really seen. You don't really know if it's part of the story. The characters never really react to the music, even though it's being performed sort of off stage by that character.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio's just a silhouette at this point.
Yeah,
I'll turn on the light. I'll turn on the light in a second.
Oh, you're beautiful.
You're glowing.
No, I was just saying that guy is like a superstar in Brazil, apparently.
Life Aquatic. Sue Horg.
George. I think it's George, but he's like he's like their I don't know.
Mike, have you seen it?
I have not. It's one of two Wes Anderson movies I haven't seen. But Wes Anderson always
really
kills
enjoyable.
soundtracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to it. That was one of the ones I wanted to get to for this, but
Oh, my
I'm
camera.
gonna say, great shot of
Okay.
Antonio's crotch there for a second.
I didn't realize. I have my computer on a monitor, so I didn't.
This next category, I can't really speak too much, except for the last three. Band movies, movies about or from real life bands or about real life bands. The Beatles had a bunch. Purple Rain, like you mentioned before.
Yeah.
The Wall, and then a couple biopics: Bohemian Rhapsody, Straight Outta Compton, Walk the Line, and then another band one is Tommy by The Who. Have you guys seen any of these?
This is Spinal Tap. You're forgetting.
I had that in a different category
Oh, damn it.
because they became a real band after the fact.
Okay. Oh well. Oh, so Across the Universe is included in this? Is
I
that
wouldn't.
right?
I wouldn't include it in that area.
No?
I
Okay.
think it's something there. It's not like a. Well, I wouldn't even consider the biopics part of the same category. They're kind of different.
I guess the category was just where the soundtrack is just a band's discography, basically. It
the
doesn't-
Monkeys should be included in this too. Though I have not seen a Monkeys.
What's your
episode.
favorite Monkeys movie, Mike?
It was a TV show, right? But
Yeah, it was
I've never seen the Monkeys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They
you
have
know
a
what I
good-
found strange on a lot of the lists that I was looking at, of all the Beatles movies, Magical Mystery Tour was the one that I saw more often than not on a list, which is
I
crazy.
saw A Hard Day's Night more often, but I did see a couple Magical Mystery Tours.
I saw the Help was number one.
Yeah,
on
I
Rolling
saw
Stones
Help a
list.
bunch.
Yeah, because that's fucking Rolling Stone. They've
I have
been
a
sucking off the
question.
Beatles for years.
Yeah, every
And
single
if
list.
it's Dylan or the Beatles, they just like.
Well, usually they're right for that, but I don't think that this is the case.
Oh, speaking of Dylan, have any of you guys seen I'm Not There?
I am
No,
not.
I wanted
No.
to watch that for this.
Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
5 different actors played Dylan.
Yeah, it's like Kate Blanchett is others, men, mostly men.
Yes, I really want to see that. Was that who directed that?
No idea.
No clue.
Somebody important.
It's not Scorsese. Like I
No.
want to say Scorsese, but I don't think it is. He did a Bob
He
Dylan
did a different.
documentary.
Todd Haynes?
Todd Haynes. He looks like a somebody.
Man.
I have a question about these movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they
He did
recorded
Carol.
they recorded these albums not planning on making a movie, right? They just kind of made a movie because they had a good album, or
Well, which
what?
ones do you mean? I guess.
I guess
The Beatles were planned. The Beatles were planned.
But they didn't make. They were just making albums. They weren't planning on. Was the plan to make a movie the entire time?
No.
Okay.
Are
The
you
movies
sure?
were far. Yeah. No.
I would
movie-
I would
the-
defer to Antonio on this. You've
They
probably seen
always
more of these
came-
films than
I haven't seen any.
Especially The Wall. I haven't seen The Wall. I've seen bits and pieces of what's the Led Zeppelin one?
Song remains the same.
Yeah,
Isn't that just a concert though?
The Wall's animated, right?
but there are
The
scenes.
Wall has all
in-
animated sections, which are really trippy.
yes, super trippy.
But yeah, really cool. It's a cool story. If you like Pink Floyd, you would enjoy it.
So are these good? Is there a story to these, or is it just them performing the album?
It's more something. I would call it more of like an art film than a movie. Like I think it would be better served, for example, say putting it on your TV at a party, like Planet Earth 2 or
Like
something.
Blue Planet 2.
But from what I've seen of these movies themselves, it's not like I don't know if they match our criterion that we were talking about at the beginning of the film, about there being this interplay between the movie itself and the songs. It's more just about the music, which
Yeah.
is fine, but it's never really intrigued me.
Do you like these, Antonio?
Well, which ones? I like some of them. I like The Wall. I liked Yellow Submarine. I only saw it once. I've never seen, or I have seen Hard Day's Night. I haven't seen Magical Mystery Tour. I don't really know what the deal is, except that it's just a cheap rip-off of another famous bus that went around in the country, and everyone was on acid, and they were pranking each other. It was Toby Keith's The Bus Songs.
Hey, Toby Keith.
Hey, my favorite artist of all time.
We should hire him for their next.
Here's what I have.
Lion King.
I have this question written down because I thought we'd get into the Beatles a little bit with like talking about across the universe and with Yesterday coming out soon. Which Beatle are you guys? And I'm gonna guess. And Charlie is John. Mike is definitely a Paul. And Keegan is a really difficult one. I don't know. I've been thinking about this all week. I don't know what Beatle you are.
Call it, all right?
You're not a George though.
Yeah, you're not a George.
I have no clue.
You're like a
Keegan's
George
Paul
Martin.
also.
What'd you say?
I think Keegan's a little bit Paul and a little bit George. The seriousness of George, a little bit. The intensity of George, but the rest of it's Paul.
Fair.
What was Charlie?
Paul George.
Charlie.
Let's go.
All the way.
Charlie was what?
On.
Charlie's Ringo.
He said John, Mike.
Okay, sorry.
I think Ring.
Mike's getting closer and closer to the camera, trying to hear what Antonio
I
said.
kept cutting out. So I have headphones on.
Do I keep cutting out?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
For me, you did. I don't know.
Okay, so what's Antonio then?
George Martin.
I run it all. I'm the hand behind the band.
Right.
When I was a little
Pete
kid,
Best. Pete Best.
Oh no! When I was a kid, I was a huge John guy, and then like as a more of a teenager, I became a big Paul guy. I think I'm in my George phase now. I've been listening to so much George Harrison lately, and I love him. And I think that the goal,
Put
true
patchouli
ego
on sometimes.
death, true ego death, is realizing that it's always been Ringo the whole time. That's when I'll have my peace, I think. Best
That was a
Beatle.
much better Ringo joke than my mom's.
Well, what's the...
She just called me Ringo.
It's just Ringo. And then for the biopics, I mean, Queen, NWA, and Johnny Cash, they just made good music, so obviously the soundtracks are going to be good.
all the same damn story.
Yeah, there's not much more to say.
I love I Walk the Line and Ray, but I was younger when I saw those films. Just want to say, pissed Rami Malek won Best Actor. Did not deserve it. Walked out of the theater thinking not an Oscar performance.
Disagree.
Wow.
I don't
Sue
either.
From the top rope. When you were on for Vice, you were against him from the start, months beforehand.
I said as soon as I walked out, not an Oscar-worthy performance.
Who'd you say it to? Who'd you say it to?
I said it. I was like imagining myself being on the podcast and saying, "This is what I'm gonna say."
I agree, and even when he went up and accepted the award, it was like, "Oh, that's just the way you are." Apparently, I don't know. It was weird. Yeah.
Do you guys think Rami Malek is going to make?
All the women in the room loved him.
All the women in the room. Party of one.
Do you guys think that Rami Malek is going to make an appearance in the David Bowie biopic, and he's going to do Under Pressure with the guy who plays Bowie?
That'd be sick.
And to help kickstart the Classic Rock cinematic universe? I've already made the joke on this podcast.
That was good.
I like the joke, and the guy who's playing Bowie is the lead actor in Lovesick. It's a good show on Netflix.
Okay.
Who?
They
Who's
did you guys see the trailer for the Elton John?
I don't know his name, Charlie, but he's an Irish folk singer as well.
Yes, I've seen the Elton John trailer.
Looks good.
Going to be the same movie as the Queen one, as Ray, as Walk the Line, as all of them. They're all the same movie.
As Blow.
Yeah, just sugar coated.
Did you say
No,
blow?
Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna
Blow,
cut
I
what
don't-
Mike
It was
said.
a total joke. That missed completely.
Just
Sorry.
sugar coated, not honest enough. A little disappointing, but
Yeah.
Well, it turns a really interesting person's really interesting life and a really interesting person into an hour and a half of of narrative that just goes in the same direction every single time. It usually starts when they're already pretty successful, and then they're doing well, and then they have to do something that's hard, and then there's drugs or AIDS or whatever. And then,
AIDS.
yeah, and then they beat the thing, and then it's all happy, and then there's one last big concert or big performance, or it's
very formulaic.
So formulaic, and I wonder when people are going to get sick of it. Would have thought that like Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, like it made fun of those tropes so hard. I thought it would have kind of stopped that from continuing. Have you guys seen that movie? Have you guys seen Walk Hard?
No, I never seen it.
No one cares about John C. Reilly.
I love John C. Reilly.
I know, I like him too.
It gets quoted in our house every single day.
Really?
Rossi always says, "We're the Beatles from Liverpool." I don't know why he says it all the time.
Which Beatle is
weirdo.
Rossi? Which Beatle is Rossi?
So Ringo, it hurts.
Yeah. Ringo.
Oh, Keegan, by the way, though, one artist who does a soundtrack, Sufjan Stevens, Call Me By Your Name. Does 3 songs for that soundtrack. Yeah,
that's a good call. That's a great
Nominated
soundtrack.
for it.
I like.
Let's keep it going here. I'm going to forget probably a ton. This is a very short list I have here, but completely original soundtrack, top to bottom. Every song was made for or inspired by the movie. Space Jam, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Saturday Night Fever,
Space Jam,
The Bodyguard, and Black Panther. A couple recent ones in that list. I got to be missing something huge, though.
You guys, was there that much music in Black Panther?
I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Listen to the soundtrack afterwards. You'll realize that there was. I've listened to the soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah.
I love the score. I think the score was phenomenal, and the Scandinavian bloke deserved the Oscar. But we're not going to talk about that now because it's a soundtrack. Let's talk about Kendrick.
Yeah, I mean, that was just so built up beforehand where it didn't really deliver on the promises, I guess.
I heard like one song. I'm sure there was many more, but I don't know.
I mean, it was up for Album of the Year. It didn't win, but The Bodyguard was also up. It was Whitney Houston. It won. I think Saturday Night Fever won, and then I'm missing another one that won.
Brother, Where Art Thou?
Brother, Where Art Thou. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, for me on this list, the biggest one is Into the Spider-Verse. Maybe it's so fresh, but I listen to it quite frequently. And then Space Jam is something I just grew up with. Me and my brother would play indoor basketball in our room and just have that on repeat. And that was like the timer for each game was the length of a song.
And R. Kelly is just delightful.
I know. R. Kelly's one of the greatest humans on this planet, I'd say. Pretty safe bet.
Fantastic. Yeah, here, guess how many, guess what percent Oh Brother, Where Art Thou has on Rotten Tomatoes? I just wrote this down right before the podcast.
65.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
No, it's 77.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's still like today it would have 95%.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
I remember looking at that like a couple years ago. I'm like, wow, it's shockingly low. But yeah.
Did you end up watching it, Mike?
I did see Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Really good music.
Yeah.
I gotta say, similar feelings to Life Aquatic. Really enjoyed the movie, but would not walk out saying, "Damn, I gotta buy that soundtrack."
I'm with Charlie.
See,
minus Man of Constant
disagree.
Sorrow.
I disagree because the songs, that song's like the central key to the movie.
Yeah, but
I don't think of a lot of these in terms of, oh, I want to buy this soundtrack and listen to it in my spare time. I think of it as how did the songs help the movie and how did the movie help the music?
Yes, I mean, I can agree that if we're talking about the more intimate aspects of like this song being part of like just as important as the blue sky that's in almost every shot, the soft like folk bluegrass tinged music that's part of it. Yes, it's hugely important and adds to what they're trying to create in the film. But at the same time, it wasn't. I don't think it could stand on its own. It won Soundtrack of the Year. It was good, and I would listen to it. But
it won Album of the Year.
You won Album of the Year? Yeah. There's no Soundtrack of the Year. Could you imagine?
Okay, whatever.
No, there is. There is Soundtrack of the Year, right?
No, there's not. There's score. There's best score. There's no Soundtrack of the Year.
Best song for a movie, though,
best
right?
Song. Best original song.
That hurts you guys, I know, but that's just how I feel.
Well, you're wrong.
Movie probably led, a lot of people say it led to the folk resurgence of the mid 2000s.
Folk revival.
Folk revival, the Mumford
Folk
and
will
Sons.
never die.
No.
Oh, we
Mike.
lost Mike.
There we go. Cool.
Well, wait, I don't have Antonio, which
Oh.
is a huge loss, but
We can hear you.
Can you hear me though?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
I couldn't see you for a second. I can see.
Oh,
you.
I see. Well, when Charlie said the folk revival, made me think of an Inside Llewyn Davis quote, "A folk will never die." It's a folk song. Wait, I already messed it
Great
up.
segue, Mike. My next category is best fictional artist soundtracks. I have Sing Street, Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Spinal Tap from This Is Spinal Tap, Jackson Maine and Allie whatever from A Star Is Born, Hearts Beat Loud. Do they have a band name? I'm not really sure. And then Llewyn Davis from Inside Llewyn Davis.
I have the quote here. If it's never new and it never gets old, it's a folk song.
There we go.
That's a good
said
quote.
that.
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Mike has been busting my chops about seeing this movie for years.
You're
It
gonna
still
have
hasn't
it?
happened.
You're gonna
Yeah.
have
Still
to
hasn't
eat
happened.
it.
Oh, it's so good. You don't like it?
I'll buy it on YouTube soon enough.
You'll buy it on
On
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. That's how I've been watching all these movies. Can
You
type in
guys,
Latino
oh
YouTube,
my!
it's
Download
$3.
a goddamn ad blocker. Jesus. In the movie group chat that we have, somebody's always like, oh, First Man comes to Redbox, or like A Star Is Born can be rented now on HBO Super Prime. I'm like, get an ad blocker and go on Reddit. I'm 23 years old. I don't have $11 to rent a movie on YouTube. Jeez. I don't condone piracy. For the record.
Any other
This podcast
fictional
getting
artists
taken
here
down because of that.
that stand out to you guys?
Sing Street's awesome.
Yeah, Sing
All of
Street
those are
is
awesome. Can you repeat that list?
Sing
Good list.
Street, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, This Is Spinal Tap, A Star Is Born, Hearts Beat Loud, and Inside Llewyn Davis.
I probably want to talk about Scott Pilgrim when we do score. Charlie,
I love
send-
This Is Spinal Tap. One of my favorites. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, you have to. Absolutely hilarious.
it still holds up.
It's
It
still
does.
very, very funny.
Yeah, which
I
is
haven't
rare
seen
with
it,
a
but
comedy
Charlie's been a
movie.
fan since kindergarten.
That's
Seems
true.
like. Yeah.
They would play it on VH1 Classic. Channel
Yo,
70. I was all about it.
You watch
Yeah, the big
Channel
one for
70.
me. Oh, sorry, Antonio.
No, I'm talking about Channel 70.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's how
reminiscing about
they
VH1
would play
Classic.
The Last Waltz, and the song remains the same, and the wall on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I remember watching The Wall, parts of it on VH1 Classic. At your house, actually, Charlie.
Nice. I'm the plug.
The last Waltz has a great soundtrack.
Yes, it does. I was thinking about bringing it up, but I don't know where it fits in here.
We can't count. That's not even a movie. It's just a concert. It's
a Martin Scorsese directed documentary. I don't know.
It is. Yeah, I guess it is. I forgot about the documentary aspect of it.
Keegan, what's your favorite song on the Sing Street album?
I think Up, but I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of them. I was listening to it last night to get ready for this, and you may be seeing it later in this episode.
What's the deal with Sing Street? Is it like La La Land?
No, it's a kid in Ireland starts a band to impress a girl, and they just release banger after banger basically for an hour and a half.
Oh,
the same
that looks cute, actually.
It's the same director of Once. Same guy did both. Jim Carney. He's a failed Irish folk singer who turned to directing. Great movie. Awesome.
Yeah,
Highly
it's
recommend.
one of my favorite movies from that year.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Speaking of La La Land, musicals. I got West Side Story, Sound of Music, Mary Poppins, La La Land, Singing in the Rain, and Grease. I'm sure I'm missing a ton. But my favorite from this list is Singing in the Rain. Just the title song itself, make them laugh. There's really no misses in this soundtrack.
Is that Bacharach who does that song? Who wrote the music for that?
That's oh man, what's his name? I'll look it up.
Okay.
West Side Story. You were too young for that one. That was
West Side Story is Leonard Bernstein.
That's right.
And he's I've had that song America stuck in my head since Vice.
Oh yeah, my
Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly, there you go.
My parents have West Side Story on vinyl, so I've grown up listening
Really?
to that soundtrack. I don't think I've ever seen the movie. I just know the soundtrack so well.
I've never seen the movie.
I saw the first 20 minutes of it, and then I had to stop watching it.
Romeo and Juliet is what it is, essentially.
Yeah.
West Singing in the Rain or West Side Story?
West Side Story.
West Side
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love it. It's I'm a
A West Head?
We lost Antonio again!
he's just miming.
I was just talking about Leonard Bernstein. Is it Steen?
Bernstein. I don't know.
What do they say in that REM song?
Leonard Bernstein.
Okay, there you go. There it is.
It must be
That's
Steen.
how I that's my mnemonic.
It's probably Steen. I think it is Steen, actually. Anyway.
Any other musicals
Spinal Tap.
I may have left off?
I love Grease. I just want to say that.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
Grease sucker.
Grease is up there.
So, for Album of the Year, when Saturday Night Fever won, Grease was nominated. So, two Travolta movies nominated that year.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the same year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hell of
Man.
a year for our boy. The
Dominated.
Gleason
Travolta
that
must
year.
have just been swimming.
That's why he has the AIDS
What
now.
does he do anymore?
Travolta is not a
He
babe.
still is. After that John Gotti, all the babes loved it.
He went bald, didn't he?
No, he's got
For
hair.
John Gotti, yeah.
I thought he went bald.
He's got hair. I love Travolta. He's a national treasure. He's a weirdo.
Scientologist. He could just grow hair. He could get people to give him hair whenever he wants.
That's probably true.
I've kind of run out of categories now because I ran out of time at work. So now it's just whatever you guys
Lightning
want to throw
round.
out.
Well,
Shoot
we're-
from the hip.
We're what, an hour in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we're in.
Okay.
And
Should
we've
we
missed
say-
a ton. And of course we won't cover everything, but
Well,
I still have a long list
How
to
about-
read.
How about we start with Pulp Fiction? Have we talked about that yet?
No, not really.
Can I go first?
Yeah,
Go
go
for
for it.
Pulp
Wait.
Fiction. Iconic, yet niche. Intense, yet playful. Background, yet intimately woven into the plot. This soundtrack shares the stage with this gritty classic in a way so crucial to the... Oh, I didn't finish my write-up.
You crushed it to start, though.
I have three more that are finished. That one just... You'll have to fill in the blanks, though.
Perfect.
So you like it?
I mean, is there anything
I
better
put
than
it-
the Surfer Rock to start off?
Miserlou, yeah, Dick Dale.
No, that's... Oh, yeah, that is the first. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Jungle Boogie is the second
Yeah.
scene. That's right.
Yeah. I like the soundtrack because it's one of those that has little clips, little snippets of the movie interspersed.
I love
I
it.
like when the soundtrack does that.
Yeah.
A Star is Born does that too. That's a very good vinyl.
I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I was listening to the Blues Brothers album for this, and I liked the music in the movie, the plot and everything else, and the humor I couldn't really care less for, but I did like the songs. But I went back and listened to the soundtrack, and it's a totally different mix. It was like re-recorded. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's okay. I can enjoy it on a hungover Saturday morning is what watching Blues Brothers is for.
Yeah, it's a good movie to watch on a plane.
That's an
Wow.
okay review.
Yeah.
Sue is
You watch-
listening to Mazirlu in the background if you can't hear.
No, I can't. I saw Dick Dale. He was 83 years old at the time. Completely had no idea what any of his songs' names were. Like totally out of it, but shredding. It was probably the loudest show I've ever been to in my life.
Wow.
My ears were ringing 3 days afterwards. It was badass. He had no idea where he was. It was great.
Glowing. Yeah, Pulp Fiction, great soundtrack.
I guess we should stay on Tarantino. His other good ones are Reservoir Dogs, especially the Stuck in the Middle with You scene.
Yeah. Can never listen to that song again. Talk about a song that you instantly think of a scene.
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
Of
More so than just about any other song I can think of.
Yeah. Just haunting.
Kill Bill is a great one. Jackie Brown's a good one. And then Django. And Django's pretty varied. Like, he'll go from Jim Croce to 100 Black Coffins like it's nothing. And it all fits well with the story.
I love the use of I've Got a Name by Croce in that one.
Yeah, that's an awesome scene.
When all the big wide shots of the mountains going through the west. I like that one.
Also, that is a classic road tripping song, though. I Got a Name. I feel like that pops up a lot. But it's a great song.
Well, it. My mom brought up the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg when he tries out for the Eagles.
I
right?
saw it at your house.
When
Yeah,
Mark
Charlie?
Wahlberg tries out for the Eagles.
That soundtrack is really good. I Got a Name is in there. I thought it was an honorable mention for this podcast. It's also got some Rod Stewart, some Jim Croce.
Is Ooh La La in that? Because you put Ooh La La in any soundtrack, it's going to be one of the greatest of all time.
It's in Rushmore.
It's in Rushmore.
Yeah, it's at the end of Rushmore.
Let's talk about Rushmore.
Love Rushmore.
It's got a Ooh La La in it.
It's all British musicians, right? I think so.
No,
Rod
Cat
Stewart
Stevens.
Cat Stevens is in it. Yeah, never mind.
You know, I read that originally
Most-
Wes Anderson wanted the entire movie to be obscure Kinks songs.
Yeah, I read that too.
I did read that.
So it would have been cool.
I think we
love
lost out
Kinks.
on that, actually. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
A summer song by Chad and Jeremy, banger.
Is that? Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
like that song.
Yeah.
I can never remember the title.
I had a professor in college it was the first day of spring. He goes, "Nothing puts me in the mood this time of season than a little Chad and Jeremy," and he posted that song on the board.
They have other songs.
Wow, he's major chill.
Yeah.
He's a major chill.
Oh, Yoko's on that playlist. I never listened to that song before because of the name. Just not a big Yoko. Keegan, that you could be
I love
Yoko.
that song.
You could be your
I love
Beatle.
that song.
I'll be Yoko. I'll split us up.
It's a great song.
Anything else to add about Rushmore? Because I can list off a couple other Wes Anderson ones that are highlights.
It's been a while since I've seen Rushmore, so I don't.
Me too.
I can't contribute much.
That movie
Other
is
than it
like
being so weird.
Yeah. Has anyone seen the Darjeeling Limited?
I have. I saw it within the year, actually.
Did you like it? Because that's on a couple lists of best soundtracks.
Really, really enjoyed it. Not quite as much as The Life Aquatic, actually, but it was good. I've yet to see a Wes Anderson movie I can't recommend. So.
Yeah.
Where do you
so
go?
much music in Dog World. Was there?
I Love Dogs.
Yeah.
I Won't Hurt You. One of the goats.
Where do you go, my lovely? I think that's the song that's in the short based off John Jeering Limited or whatever that movie is.
Oh no!
No.
Give it another shot.
I'm done. I don't.
Did we lose Mike? Because he just went really slow motion for me. I heard him say, "Where do you go to my lovely?" And then that was it.
But the short that movie's based off of is it pretty much just plays that song throughout the whole entire movie.
I'm a
It's
huge
super
fan
good.
of that song.
Gotta
I've
go
never
find
seen it
that.
in a movie.
Yeah.
Peter Stardust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Great
watch
song.
it. It's aweson.
Okay. How do you spell this?
Limited?
Darjeeling, I think.
No, limited.
Am I saying it right?
Sorry.
Gabby?
Life Aquatic is at 56% Rotten Tomatoes.
Deep cut joke for only the people that are on this podcast. 3/4 of the podcast. Tenenbaums is often highly rated.
What's on Tannenbaums? I love the movie. I can't think of the soundtrack.
Me either.
Nico.
Yeah.
I don't like Nico.
Velvet Underground.
Is that okay? Can I say that?
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't like
They're-
Nico.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that song, but Jackson Brown does it
Tuesday.
better.
And then Life Aquatic, which you've brought up a couple times. I'm going to throw one out here. Train Spotting 1 and 2, and then we'll get into Danny Boyle, who's pretty good. Train Spotting 1 is gross and disgusting, and the soundtrack pretty much perfectly encapsulates that. It's underground British bands, and it totally fits the seedy underbelly of Scotland. Lust for Life is awesomely used. Perfect Day when a character ODs, and the way it's shot as well fits. And then Born Slippy is an electronic song, but if you've seen the movie and you hear it, you go right back to Train Spotting. And then the second one, Silk from Wolf Alice, Lust for Life remixed, and then Radio Gaga from Queen. Danny Boyle is really good with music as well. I mentioned him earlier. Other movies he's done, Slumdog Millionaire with Paper Planes from MIA, and then a mix of...
So good, yeah.
Yeah, a mix of Bollywood songs, which I've never heard before, but the way they work in the movie is awesome. And then 28 Days Later is another good soundtrack that fits the tone of that movie perfectly. Has anyone? I mean, Mike, you've seen Train Spotting.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job saying it. Totally, it's just a gross music for a gross movie. Yeah.
I watched Train Spotting for this podcast last weekend.
Oh, wow.
And the day before.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
A lot of really cool shots in that movie.
Yeah.
I still really not quite sure what to say about it. Obviously, very intense.
Yeah.
Really touching without having to, steep to doing like anything close to an emotional shot. It's just really more the environment that like brings you down and gives you that feeling, that
Or
look inside the characters.
Or
It
the
really is. It's great. It's a great movie, I think.
You wouldn't expect a Lou Reed song in a heroin scene, but here we are. Great
Mike, what were you
juxtaposition.
It's almost the lack of emotion in certain scenes that really add to the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of my favorites of all time. I love that movie. Anyone else want to put something out there?
Dazed and Confused.
This is your guy.
By Richard Linklater. I cannot think of the soundtrack off the top of my head. There's what's off it?
Sweet Emotion to start.
Yes.
It's like that
sure that was half
late
the budget.
70s rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the post golden age.
This is another one that perfectly
Alice
places
Cooper and
you
whatnot.
in the era that it takes place in.
I did a write up for Dazed and Confused. Want to hear it?
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Can't wait.
Richard Linklater serves up this stone-free, angsty, day-in-the-life high school melodrama on a silver platter for generations of kids. The soundtrack serves less of the purpose of driving the film along and more as another point of entry into this world of tight t-shirts and cheap beer.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's just a perfect soundtrack for the movie, the time and place. It's really well done. Linklater's very good at doing that. I think Boyd's soundtrack's also very good.
Yeah, I was gonna punt to you for the Linklater. Other than School of Rock, classic rock filled, very similar to this, but
I
with
forgot
more of a
about
budget.
School of Rock. That's great.
Yeah. I think Mike, like you said, more than half the budget went to the music for Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, that's true.
When he pitched it, he said he was going to make Slackers, which was his first movie. He was going to make it to the anthem of late '70s rock and roll or something along those lines, and that's how he pitched it, and he nailed it. Boyd's got a really good soundtrack too. The Wish You Were Here played on the acoustic guitar at one point. It's really well done. Band on the Run comes in after they talk about the Black Album. Anthem Part 2 plays early on in the movie to kind of set the tone. He did a really good job just picking out culturally relevant songs, like Hit Me Baby One More Time's mentioned in some of the 90s scenes, which was nice. High School Musical's brought up in the mid-2000s scenes. So he does a really good job of knowing what was going to still be culturally relevant.
Darjeeling.
John Deere.
8 years later.
John Deere.
And then Hero's the anthem to that movie by
Boas.
by Family of the Year.
Yeah.
And
What?
Hero
Oh.
by Family of the Year.
What the hell is that song?
Have you ever seen Boyhood?
No.
Watch the
Okay.
trailer
I
for Boyhood.
don't-
It's
I
I
an
don't want
yeah.
to cry.
It's
Yeah.
Mike's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you love it so much. I'm never in the right mood for that kind of movie because I know
And
it'll
you never will
destroy
be.
me.
You never. It's not that sad.
Really?
It's really not that sad.
Yeah.
It wasn't sad at all.
It sucks.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
It's terrible.
It was long.
So long.
3 hours.
It's like 2:49.
No. It's like 7.5.
I thought it's like 10 years.
It's good one.
Suck it.
I give you 5 succulents.
But yeah, Hero. That's another song that when you hear it, it puts you right. You think of Boyhood right away.
I have a
I give
note
it
here.
5
It
Jeff
says
Goldblum.
Whiplash. Turns out not a lot of jazz. I went back and looked at the soundtrack, and it's Caravan. That's it.
I
It's
know.
the
That's
only,
what I was gonna say.
which
I was
is
gonna
sick. It's
object
a great
to it
rendition.
because it's just Caravan.
It's a great rendition of Caravan. I like
Yes,
to
it
listen
is.
to that.
It is a great
But
Caravan.
It is very
that's
good.
it. And
I
it's
know.
also, yeah, that's it. That movie, I like that movie a lot, but not enough jazz. I wasn't as into that kind of music when I first watched it, so I bet I'd be a little bit more disappointed now looking at the soundtrack.
I actually have that. Yeah, it's a good soundtrack still, though, I think. But I guess there isn't much jazz, but I like it. That I actually have that on vinyl, that album, and they do have dialogue on that too, which I do like.
That's
when you
cool.
find that in soundtracks. I also want to say last thing about Linklater. And before Sunrise, they have the scene where they're in the listening booth listening to a Kath Bloom album. Come Here comes on when they're about to kiss. That's like one of my favorite uses of music in a movie. Their eyes keep wandering around each other without locking in, and the song's perfect for that scene. So Linklater is one of the best at picking out music for movies. And that's it for Linklater. We're done.
For
I
fear of
assume
being
no one's see Before Sunrise, I assume, right?
Nah.
No.
Can I just read through any remaining... Anyone have an album they really want to talk about? Or a soundtrack they really want to talk about?
Well, I was gonna, if no one has anything, I wanted to pose just a general question of your favorite use of just one particular song in a movie. It doesn't even have to be a movie with a particularly good soundtrack. Just what do you think was a... I was thinking about, I know you guys had mentioned it on the show during award season, the use of Helplessly Hoping in Annihilation.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
Oh, I haven't seen Annihilation yet.
Oh, I think you would dig it.
I'm sure I would. Everyone tells me to watch it. But
Yeah, that's awesome. As time goes by in Casablanca, that makes that movie, kind of brings them back, kind of re-sparks the flame for them. That's one that sticks out too.
That's the I realized like the other day that's the Warner Brothers logo sometimes.
Yeah, that's the Warner Brothers music is as time goes by.
I think of a scene in The Pianist sometimes. If you've seen it, his performance of a Chopin song near the end.
You know which one?
Which one?
Yeah.
I think it's Nocturne number 9.
Like the second one, the main like dun 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 dun.
You've definitely heard it before if you ever listened.
Yeah, that's in the running for my favorite song in the of all time.
That's a pretty big question. I don't have one off the top of my head, but the first one that came to mind was Get Down Saturday Night from Ex Machina, when Oscar Isaac and the robot are dancing drunkenly together.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite scenes, period. But yeah, that's an awesome song, too.
That's pretty intense scene.
Yeah. The last two I want to bring up, really, Guardians 1 and 2. Can't say enough about those. And the diegetic use of music, too, where Peter pretty much always has his headphones in, and the songs that you're hearing are also what he's hearing as he's saving the galaxy. And then just an awesome mix, no pun intended, of 70s and 80s music. And then in a similar vein with diegetic music, Baby Driver, Edgar Wright's Baby Driver, especially the opening scene with bell bottoms and how everything's choreographed to the music, the tequila remix and everything. Those two are standouts for me.
When I was in Atlanta, every street I went down, oh man, this is like Baby Driver. Like he did such a good job of capturing that city. Yeah,
that's it.
Baby Driver, awesome.
So personally, I did 2 more write-ups.
Let's hear it.
Want to hear them? All right, here we go. Ready to?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I don't know if we talked about any Scorsese here really, but I picked
Martin?
one. Goodfellas. I thought we left out, and I said Scorsese's vast knowledge of the Western music tradition is palpable in almost every film he touches, but maybe none more so than Goodfellas, his most well-articulated crime family film. Entire scenes are narrated through the lens of his brutally honest choice for this soundtrack. In the same vein, Casino obviously can't. I mean, if you look at his list of movies, but that's something we keep saying. Wes Anderson, Linklater, Tarantino, these great directors, just their soundtracks always match the high quality of their films.
Oh, shit!
You mentioned
Plus
the
he
Deer
loves
Hunter.
Gimme Shelter. It's in 10 different movies.
Didn't he make a movie called Gimme Shelter? Also,
I don't know.
Martin Scorsese made a movie called Gimme Shelter. I'm certain. I think it's like a Rolling Stones.
Martin Scorsese was the 5th member of the Rolling Stones.
But there were 5 members of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mike, Mick, Keith.
That's 3 Micks.
Mike, Mick.
They were Irish.
Charlie. Whoa, you guys. There was a Keegan, I think, and an Antonio too.
Okay.
Okay.
And then my last right up here, 2001. We didn't bring up Kubrick yet, but I mean, we did bring up Singing in the Rain. That was a great time to insert Clockwork Orange, but my favorite of his is for soundtracks, at least in 2001. I said, uses of classical music abound in movie soundtracks, television shows, and even commercials. But no use is as epic, graceful, and poignant as Kubrick's in this film, arguably the best ever made.
Yeah, that's true. People confuse that with the score. That and The Shining are older pieces.
Right.
And yet, when you hear any of those songs, the first thing you think of is 2001.
Yeah.
Those are other examples of scenes where songs take me straight to a movie. I mean, you think of I hear Blue Danube, Stravinsky's Blue Danube, and I just see those amazing shots of the starships sailing around the planets. It's just beautiful.
I mean, it was so powerful that now, just culturally, when you hear that, when you see that in most media, it's usually in a reference to that scene in 2001.
Yeah,
the
and
Blue
when
Dan.
you hear
Also,
"Thus Spake Zarathustra," you know that like epic when the monkeys.
yeah.
Yeah, and they throw up the bone.
Yeah.
That's referenced everywhere. That's another great example of just an iconic scene tailored with an iconic song. And then, like I also said, I wanted to bring up the movie Deer Hunter.
That little movie that no one's heard of. You know, that Best Picture winner?
Well, have any of you guys seen it?
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, last year. Really?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, man.
Did not like it at all.
Really? Oh, man.
I loved it.
There's one good scene, in my opinion.
What, the Russian roulette?
I think that's the worst scene in the movie.
Wow. That wedding goes on for an eternity.
Oh, God, I love that wedding. It's like an hour of the movie. I'm all about it. That's the kind of wedding that I want to have as an Italian.
Hour-long wedding.
An hour-long
Yeah.
wedding.
Preface to a violent end.
Yeah, exactly. Just like life. It's great.
Continue with your write-up, Charlie.
Oh, that was everything. Those were my write-ups.
Well, what can you name some songs in the Deer Hunter? The only one I can think of is that Frankie Valli song in the wedding. I love you, baby. What's that one called?
Is it called I Love You, Baby?
Just too good. No, it's called
Can't Take My Eyes Off
You. Yeah.
But in Deer Hunter, a lot of the music is performed by John Williams, even if they're not originals. Cavatina, that's like the most famous song from that movie. The nylon string guitar piece that's in like the middle and the end. It's very sad. That song alone could make me put this movie in my top soundtracks.
There's a movie that I want to mention. Silver Linings Playbook soundtrack, I think, is excellent.
Yes, it is.
By Sherry Moore's the song he keeps hearing that reminds him of his wife cheating on him. Always All Right, the Alabama Shake song playing when he runs. Unsquared Dance, that's a little like jazz tune that they play as they walk into the diner. There's a cover of Monster Mash where it's like super slow and super creepy in it. The Girl from the North Country, the Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan song. That introduced me to that song, which is just one of my favorite songs of all time.
In that movie, is it the Cash and or the Dylan and Cash version?
Yeah, it is.
I like that version.
There's a great version of that song by Tony Rice. Antonio, I know
Really?
you've heard of him, but Mike, you should check that out.
I'm gonna add that right now.
Same song, Girl from North Country?
Yes.
Cool.
And then they also do Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which is played in almost every Christmas scene, but it plays well in that also.
It's like CCR over Vietnam.
Yeah, it really is. or whatchamacallit, the Jim Croce song on a road trip. Also, Misty by Johnny Mathis plays at the end of it. Mathis. So yeah, really good soundtrack to one of my favorite movies.
Misty, the standard
by Errol Garner.
No, by Johnny Mathis.
Who's Johnny Mathis?
He's like one of those like old time Rat Pack guys.
He played third base for the New York Yankees.
Sue said he's a crooner, so it's probably the standard. The song
by
Errol Garner.
Right. It's a good song.
It is a good song.
It's in a lot of movies.
Antonio, any last ones that you want to bring up?
I think we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to bring up. Yeah.
A couple of the directors.
Please, Mr. Kennedy. Great. Probably my favorite. Probably my favorite song.
A couple of directors that I mentioned up top, but never got any deep dive level. Quickly mention here: John Hughes, The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, Ferris Bueller, David Fincher, Zodiac, Fight Club, and SN. What the hell? Oh, Social Network. There we go. Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, and he got game.
Oh, Mo Better Blues. Mo Better Blues is a great soundtrack.
Cameron Crowe, one of the biggest directors that are tied to music. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Almost Famous, Vanilla Sky, and Singles. And when I was talking about
Almost Famous soundtrack's really good, but it was always going to be good because it's about rock music in the early 70s.
Yeah.
That soundtrack's not sticking out to me, though. That's just a movie about music that really good songs are played, but I can't think of any songs from that movie. I love that movie,
The use of Tiny
too.
Dancer is awesome. When they're all bummed out, but it brings them back together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great scene, yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson, we mentioned Magnolia, Boogie Nights is another good one. Sofia
Boogie Nights is
Coppola,
sick,
Mike,
yeah.
you might want to speak on
This
this.
is really hard.
Sofia Coppola, Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, and Virgin Suicides. Anything, Mike?
Lost in Translation, I saw everywhere. I love that movie. I cannot think of a song from that soundtrack.
Fair enough. Yeah, and that's about it for me. I think, let's see if I have anything else. Apocalypse Now.
The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski, there you go.
Now good. Big Lebowski's good.
Back
that
to the
Dylan
Future.
song they play multiple times. I enjoy that.
Napoleon Dynamite actually has a really good one. American Pie is very 90s.
Judo has a good one.
Yeah.
Judo has a good one about the if I was a river, I'd be 17. As long as you could call me my sweet. You know that song?
Yeah.
Slaughtering it, but yes.
Footloose, Top Gun.
Are there any?
Go ahead.
Footloose is really good. It's got some Freaky Valley in it. Oh, there was actually a Freaky Valley movie. There was a Four Seasons movie that Clint Eastwood directed about 5-6 years ago. I enjoyed it, but all the tropes.
And then my last one
Any
is...
particular artists or songs that you...
Oh, American Psycho. That just popped in my head. That soundtrack plays a huge role in all that. He listens to music all the time.
That's true.
The Huey Lewis, the News, death scene's awesome. And Walking on Sunshine, that's a classic trope that you hear at the beginning of a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
But the way they use it is awesome because it sets the tone for the movie in the completely opposite direction than it should. So yes.
Yeah, great addition to the conversation. And it made me think of, have any of you guys seen American Graffiti?
No, but
that was number one on a lot of lists.
That was number one on a lot.
That soundtrack is 53 songs deep. It's crazy.
I have seen this movie. I saw it maybe 3 or 4 years ago, so I wondered if any of you guys had seen it.
Negative.
But it sounds like a bunch of no's.
No. What are your thoughts on it, though?
What are my thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an older movie. I enjoyed it. Probably the best part was the soundtrack, but it was a good movie. I would say it's worth a watch.
Better than Star Wars?
No.
Star Wars. Those
Nothing
near and
but
far
Star Wars. Give me those Star Wars over there.
And then my last one, Willy Wonka. I love that. I love those songs.
How did that not come up? Pure imagination.
Rest in peace, Gene Wilder.
He died? Here, Alex Trebek has pancreatic cancer.
Oh, I was going to bring it up. That's the first
Stage
thing
4.
that I said before I got...
Yeah.
Gene Wilder should replace him on
Very
Jeopardy.
sad.
Weekend at Bernie style. All right, let's get into our top 10s here.
I don't want to do the top 10s?
Oh, top 5s. I'm sorry. Top
5s or
5s.
3s.
So mine's going to be a little non-traditional. I kind of broke mine into 5 different categories, so there's not really any ranking here.
Remake
No, you got to put 1 top 5, Keegan.
Okay, then just forget I said that. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Should I start off? Number 5. I'm gonna go with a very recent movie, my favorite movie of last year, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. For its 12 out of 12, all original songs, all of them hit, and they're all used extremely well in the movie. Specific standouts would be Sunflower, Memories, and Hide. Or are we going one by one?
I have nothing to say.
I'll go 5.
Oh.
Okay.
Number 5 for me, Silver Linings Playbook. I just talked about, so I won't say it again, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I really think that soundtrack makes that movie. That's my 5.
Okay, I'll jump in here. Number 5, I was trying to choose between Pianist, Deer Hunter, and Forrest Gump, but, Forrest Gump is just so iconic. I know they're not the first to use those songs in that particular way about, the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights era, or any of that stuff, but they do it so well that I'm going to give it to Forrest Gump for number 5.
Number 5, Forrest Gump. My number 5, I'm going to go with the Big Lebowski. Did we even talk about that one?
Not really. Go ahead, take over.
I brought it up in passing, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. Nice. CCR, Bob Dylan, man.
CCR without any Vietnam scenes.
Without any Vietnam reference. Just for that alone, it deserves a 5 spot.
No,
Yeah.
he's a non-veteran Goodman in it, right?
Yeah, he is. He threatens everyone about what it's like in Vietnam. Keegan, take it.
Disney makes a lot of good soundtracks. And for me, my favorite, in terms of how it's used in the movie and in my personal life, Tarzan. Phil Collins is a legend. But yeah, I think it's my favorite work of him as well. They use You'll Be in My Heart during Mom Prom at Ignatius. Special place in my heart is the Tarzan soundtrack.
This is really difficult. I'm going Grease 4. It's my favorite musical, so it's got to make my top 5. They have 2 sick duets, Summer Nights and You're the One That I Want. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
We Go Together, I love that. Beauty School Dropout. All
I love
songs.
Beauty School Dropout.
Yeah. I listened to the soundtrack today. I have my drive to Canton, and I was tapping my foot. So, yes. Grease is number 4.
I hope it was the left one.
It was both. I have a Tesla. Though I will say the self-driving car.
It doesn't have pedals. Teslas don't have pedals.
I will say that Grease by Freaky Valley, that theme of that song, though, is not very good. The theme of the movie, I don't like that Grease song.
Oh, I like that song.
Movie before it were a play.
I like that song.
It was a play. It was a play before a musical.
What? Oh, okay.
It was on Broadway before it was a musical. Before it was a movie, making no sense.
Number 4 for me, I put Dazed and Confused. Richard Linklater serves up. Oh wait. Yeah.
Are all the ones you have write-ups for going to be in your top 5?
Probably.
Yeah, I wrote something up for my top 5, but I should have saved it for now. But I got too excited.
Yeah,
like
I can tell.
dog.
Do you have a webcam?
No, I'm using my phone.
Oh, that's why I keep shifting. Cool.
I'll go with The Lion King, Disney movie, Elton John. Great songs. I wanted to go with an animated one for this, and I can't really think of a better animated soundtrack than Disney's The Lion King.
You missed it. Keegan went Tarzan on this, so you guys.
No, I heard Tarzan.
Oh, you heard that?
When I originally made my list, Lion King got the animated spot. But once I thought about it, in terms of what I listened to more and more emotional attachment to, I went Tarzan. But that's
Antonio,
awesome
that
choice.
must mean you didn't take the time to think about it.
No, I just made it up now. I didn't plan this with the list, but yeah, I guess I just don't have enough emotions to go with Tarzan.
My number 3, for best soundtrack created by characters in the movie, I'm giving it to Sing Street. I think I've talked enough about it. 7 awesome songs that are in my rotation on a daily basis. Awesome movie and maybe an even better soundtrack.
Pulp Fiction's 3 for me. Like I said, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely top 5, and that soundtrack makes that movie. It's a cornerstone. Pulp Fiction 3.
For me, I went Goodfellas on this. I mean, you guys can guess what my top ones will be because of what I hit right up on.
Where does 2001 come in?
Yeah, that's all that you can guess for now. I'll make you guys try to guess next round. But yeah, Goodfellas, you have to get Scorsese in here somewhere. And I mean, what better choice is there than Goodfellas?
Departed.
Antonio?
Number 3.
Departed.
What's Departed soundtrack like? Sorry, I'm out of turn.
Go ahead.
Does Departed have a good soundtrack?
Give me
Yeah,
Shelter.
that's an amazing soundtrack.
Give me Shelter. Shipping Up to Boston, just off the top of my head.
You're right. Okay.
Antonio.
Number 3. I'm gonna just go with Across the Universe. It's kind of a cop out, but it's Beatles, and I love the way that they're sung in that movie. And I've probably seen that movie more times than anything else on the list.
So I have a question about this. These are all Beatles covers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the actual Beatles tracks that are in it.
They're not. No.
Okay, so I mean, one movie that I really like, Sean Penn goes full retard when he does "I Am Sam."
You're not supposed to say that.
It's a joke.
But it's a joke.
But that's another all Beatles covers. Have you seen that movie? Does it compare? You haven't
I haven't seen it. No, shoot.
It's really good.
I'm gonna write it down though. What's it called?
I Am Sam.
Huh. Okay.
We found our cold open. Oh my god.
Hope they edit this out.
No, he said he's going to put it at the top.
No.
You're never going to be governor of
There
Virginia.
goes the Senate race.
Those are all your sponsors.
No, it'll be fine.
What do we have?
I'll be sponsored by politically incorrect Joe Rogan.
Are you up? Am I up? Who's up?
Yeah, Keegan's up.
I just went.
This is my-
You can go.
This is my number 2.
Yes.
This is what I'm calling the. Now that's what I call soundtrack in honor of the the hit CD series. Now that's what I call music. Forrest Gump. I mean, it's what 31 songs deep. They all hit, and it tells a 3-decade story with music itself. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the best like non-original soundtrack ever made.
If
It's
you
insane.
make a list of the greatest songs of all time, those 31 songs will probably be in your top 50. That's
Definitely.
just how good this soundtrack is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Outstanding soundtrack. 2 for me is Inside Llewyn Davis. For Please Mr. Kennedy alone. No, I'm kidding. That is a great song. But yeah, it's soundtrack got me interested in folk music. A lot of great classic covers, and I love it.
Have you seen any of the songs from that, Charlie?
Yes, I've seen a couple clips on YouTube of him performing some songs because, I mean, I guess the soundtrack, it's him playing these old folk songs, right?
Yeah,
I mean, all the songs that he plays, I've heard other versions of people do these songs, when I've listened to, that Greenwich Village era type folk music. A lot of those guys all do these songs.
Right,
and it's all there in the tradition. So I'm sure I would really enjoy the movie, but still haven't seen it.
Yeah, the only original song's Please Mr. Kennedy in the whole thing.
It's a banger. Have you heard that one, Charlie?
I don't know if I have.
Oh, goodness.
With
Probably.
Justin Timberlake and Oscar Isaac and Adam Driver.
Ooh.
It's like Star Wars.
Just like Star Wars. That's how it's going to end. Episode 9. Justin Timberlake is really... Who's the
Kylo
CGI
Ren
guy?
looks at the camera, and gets cut down.
It's a great stylistic parody of that kind of song in the 60s or the early 60s, I guess. Number 2?
For number 2, I had to go with A Space Odyssey here. I've already made my arguments about it. We discussed the idea of songs that are so strongly coupled to scenes that it gets parodied in everything from Family Guy to whatever television show or movie you watch that does parodies, commercials. It's all over the place. The cultural impact of this movie and the songs therein are humongous.
I agree. I didn't think of that at all because it's all just music. There's no lyrics because I was thinking of score, but all that stuff's not original. So it's a very good pick, Charlie.
Thank you.
It helps. It helps. Now as you go back to see, you hear these classic musical whatever songs, and it really helps just kind of cement that movie as just an all-time classic movie.
Yeah,
hearing,
of course,
because it's like Bach, right? All those guys.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot
Aren't
of
those
heavy
pieces
hitters of Romantic era.
Yeah,
Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky and a lot of Russian dudes in there. Yeah. Russians and Germans all over the place.
My number 2, I'm going to go with Pulp Fiction. For I think the first repeat so far, they've all been.
I believe you're right. I mean, we can do this forever. Yeah.
The first repeat.
The first repeat in the top 5.
I said Forrest Gump at 5. And
oh, right.
Number 3.
Okay.
You're right.
Sorry to take that away from you.
If the order was different.
My number 1 now?
everything to be said about Pulp Fiction has been said.
My number 1, it's a fight between the first one and its sequel. I'm gonna go with Guardians
Shrek?
1. I'm gonna go with Guardians 1. I think as Guardians 2, I knew most of the songs going in, but I learned a lot more from Guardians 1. I'm getting the thumbs down from everyone.
I'm giving you the thumb. I can't see you, but I'm giving you a thumbs up.
The way it's diegetic in the movie and how it ties in with Peter's mother, there's an emotional reason for all the songs, and then the songs are just good to begin with. It's a lot of music I've never heard before, like Redbone. I don't think I ever would have heard that.
Really?
Except for this song, except for this movie. Yeah, and it's one.
It's everywhere, man.
Is it because of the movie though? I mean, when the hell do you hear that song?
Charlie's giving the most ridiculous face. I'm not laughing. He gets points are very solid.
The first time I heard that song was that movie, and I've never heard it on the radio or in anything else since. So
It was in Get Out.
that's Donald Glover, Gambino. But yeah, so my again, these are not in order, but Guardians
They're
won.
not in order.
You numbered them.
They're in order.
Mine aren't.
My number one, and this is not in order.
Well, I didn't. Well, you were gone, I think, but mine are based on categories. I had Spider-Man at number 1 first, but I changed it.
Right. Okay.
So the highest selling cassette of this decade is Guardians Volume 1, which makes sense because he listens to a ton of cassette. Guardians is good. I was giving Kino a hard time. It's a very good soundtrack, obviously. My number one's The Graduate. One of my favorite movies of all time. Love Simon and Garfunkel. We've talked a lot about it. Sound of Silence. Opening shot's awesome.
This is the second time it topped a list of yours when you had a category podcast, right? Because when you did high school movies, was it? College movies? Yeah, that's what I meant. College movies. This was your number one.
If we also did my favorite shot and maybe my favorite scene, it would also probably be one.
Wow.
I fucking love this movie. So yeah, it's going to be the top of a lot of things.
Crazy. For me, number one, I had to put Pulp Fiction. I don't think.
Hey.
I mean, I think 2001 is a better movie, but I mean, Antonio said, "What more can you say about Pulp Fiction?" And I was thinking, well, I'm gonna try, but I don't think you can. The music is. None of these songs are huge hits except for maybe Missouri. Not necessarily. It's not a huge hit. These are all
because of that
cuts
movie
of these bands that are good bands, but somehow it just makes them seem so present in the film. Has to be my number one.
Another song which was became famous, or that scene became infamous because of. That song became infamous because of that scene. I mean, a year later in Space Jam, they do a Miserlou scene. Do you guys remember that in Space Jam? The Porky Pig and the guy who shoots the rabbit.
Yeah, I do.
Lola Bunny?
No, they walk out the glasses and the guns.
Yeah.
What's the song that Travolta dances to?
Oh,
with Uma Thurman.
Chuck Berry. Oh man, can't remember the name of the song. I'll pull it up.
And her singing "You'll Be a Woman Too" while he's in the bathroom and she ODs. I mean,
you never can tell.
Never can tell.
Good. Probably my favorite Chuck Berry song, probably because of this movie.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't know that song if it wasn't for this movie.
And then was it "Son of a Preacher Man"? Dusty Springfield in here.
Yeah.
Such a great use of that song. Can't say enough about it. But I will go on if you let me. So why don't we go to Antonio here?
My number one, Charlie was too much of a coward to put classical in his number one. I'm going to go with Amadeus. I think that's it's going to be my favorite soundtrack. I did just rewatch it recently, so I have a bit of a bias to that. But I think it's just phenomenal. It has made me listen to so much Mozart lately. All I want to do is really watch that movie again. There's so many beautiful scenes. I could not recommend it enough. The opera, the solo piano pieces, and then at the end, the Requiem Mass, the last 30 minutes of the movie. It's just really breathtaking.
I think of all the recommendations that I'm going to go check out next, you've convinced me that this should be near the top of my list, if not number one.
The next movie I will see not in theaters will be Amadeus because of Antonio. I almost watched it.
I'm happy. It's a great story. It's mostly apocryphal. It probably didn't shake out that way. Salieri and Mozart were more than likely friends. But, the Julius Caesar story didn't shake out the way that Shakespeare wrote about it. It was just a great take on an important figure done 200 years after his death, like a Shakespearean tragedy almost, and we are all the better for it. 8 Oscars it won,
including Best Picture.
List for the longest time. I'll get to it soon. So let's do a quick recap. I don't have mine in order, so if this could be wrong. Tarzan at 5, Spider-Man at 4, Sing Street at 3, Gump at 2, Guardians 1 at 1. In some kind of order there. Those are the top 5.
I got Silver Linings 5, Grease 4, Pulp Fiction 3, Inside Llewyn Davis 2, The Graduate 1. There's like 5 of my favorite movies of all times too, so kind of makes sense.
Gump, Dazed, Fellas, Ot 1, and Pulp.
What was Ot 1? Oh, 2001.
Oh, boo!
Boo.
That's the best joke of the pod.
It wasn't a joke. It was just me being British for a little second there.
A little second. Keegan's turned on now.
Anglophile. Mine were Amadeus, Pulp Fiction, The Lion King, and wait, no. What's number 3? Okay, Across the Universe was number 3. Number 4 was Lion King. Number 5 was The Big Lebowski.
There we go.
Let me say that again.
Oh, it's fine.
That's okay.
I'll get the order right when I write them down later.
Okay.
I can't believe Lion King did my top 5. Not great.
It's their fault. You guys watch anything else recently?
Watched Green Book last night. Watched The Favorite a couple nights ago.
How was that?
I like The Favorite more than Green Book. I enjoyed Green Book, but the issues people said it had, I totally can understand where they're coming from.
Watching the Oscars made me really want to check out The Favorite. Every little piece I saw from it.
I haven't seen Roma, but the directing, at least for the first 3/4 of the film, was brilliant.
Yeah, it was my favorite Oscar movie this year, or Best Picture movie this year.
I would have voted first in my ballot too. It's really good, really well acted, kind of a twisting plot.
I'm gonna check it out. I watched recently because it was on Man of Steel into Spider-Man or Batman versus Superman into Suicide Squad.
Oh my God! What?
What a trilogy!
Amazing. That sounds amazing.
What a chore!
For the record, I liked Batman vs Superman. I didn't have any issues with it.
It's fine. They're all fine. They all they all suck.
Man of Steel. Man of Steel might be my least favorite movie of all time.
I actually like Man of Steel.
I thought that was the best of the three.
Yeah, Man of Steel is the best. I'd say as well.
I haven't seen the other two, so
DC so polarizing.
They're not good.
I still have to watch, I guess, Justice League and Wonder Woman. And
Justice League's okay.
Wonder Woman's good. Justice League is okay.
Wonder Woman's definitely the best. I'm not even the biggest Wonder Woman fan, but at least it's like visually stunning movie. It's well lit. Everything else is lit so poorly. Is
there any redeeming quality besides it being like the best of the worst?
No, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
The first act of Wonder Woman's very, very good. The last act sucks.
Would you say it's the only actually good, like, DC movie?
I
just watched
Justice
Aquaman.
League.
I hated Aquaman. I haven't seen Justice.
I gave Justice League a thumbs up.
Really?
But it was barely a thumbs up.
It's not very good.
It's not very good, but it's fine.
Is there The Flash yet?
Not yet.
I think it's happening. Is that happening?
I think it was put on hold.
Yeah, because they couldn't find a director.
I don't think it's happening.
Aquaman and Shazam.
Oh, yeah, we got Shazam coming up.
Aquaman's
My parents were offended they're making a Shazam movie. I don't know why, but they were legitimately upset during the Super Bowl.
So weird.
Why? Are your parents big Shazam fans?
It must have been. I don't know.
Are your parents
the original Captain Marvel
Rhapsody fans?
Try explaining the whole Shazam and Captain Marvel thing to like somebody who doesn't know anything about comic books. And I don't know anything about comic books, but I know what's like.
If I remember correctly,
it's not a fun conversation to have with somebody.
Yeah, it's like before DC and Marvel, there was a Captain Marvel. Then they sold it to DC, and then Marvel made their own, and so then DC changed their Captain Marvel to Shazam.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so it's like that.
And now both movies are coming out within a few months of one another.
A few weeks.
Wow, really?
I wonder if they'll call Shazam Captain Marvel in the movie.
I wonder if they'll make like a little, like they'll do a hint.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
What's his name gonna be? Shazam? Because in the comics, his name's actually Captain Marvel, but you say Shazam and he appears. Correct.
Well, then he became the character became Shazam after legal battles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, did you watch anything?
I saw some episodes of Twilight Zone, but that's it.
The new one?
No, those 60s one. Good time.
Stuff. There's
Yeah,
one
good
about
stuff.
Willoughby. Have you seen
Yeah,
that?
I
there
saw
is.
that.
Willoughby.
I saw that
Willoughby
one.
here.
Yeah.
Really?
Next stop, Willoughby.
I haven't watched that one. I should.
Last Stop Willoughby, it's called.
I'm back on my Peaky Blinders grind. Anyone watch that?
Ooh, seen a couple.
No.
Wasn't pumped about it.
I'm back in. I love it. Hard to understand sometimes. I feel like I need to have subtitles because it's like a really thick accent. But that's all I've watched. I watched Fighting with My Family.
Good?
Very formulaic. It's
it looks like it. I'm not going to see it now.
No, it's
How's Cersei?
She's good. I mean, she's not really in it that much. No, it's totally fine, but it even has the line like, "It's not my dream, it's your dream." Like, like the bullshit. Like, it even has that. So, but it's.
Hey, people say those things, in real life.
You can only define yourself one way: being a state champion. So yeah, it's.
I know kids from all the schools.
It's. It's very predictable, but it's funny enough. It's okay. It's like a 6.5.
Wow.
Not enough to get its own review on a pod?
No, because Mike's not gonna see it.
I was thinking about seeing it. Now I'm probably not.
No, you can skip it for sure.
Yeah, okay. That's too bad.
All right, that's it. I think. Anything else to add, you guys?
No, thanks for being on, guys. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys.
Sorry,
Thanks
my
for,
connection was so
having me.
bad. I'm probably gonna be like 5 seconds behind everybody when I finally listen to it.
I'll fix it in post. You're good.
Okay.
No, it really wasn't bad. It was just like 1 point.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Follow us at movie_rebrew, me at Cashmoney Keegan, Mike at _Oglebay, Chuck at nothing, Antonio at the Cool Friend?
MC Cool Friend, like a rapper.
There we go.
I'm a rapper.
Subscribe.
No one wants a rapper to be their friend. Is that why you went with that? Because it doesn't make sense.
You don't want a rapper to be your friend?
No.
Not even those
'Cause
rappers
then
back
you have
in
to
the
be a
day
part
when
of
they
their
called
posse
themselves
and go to
MC?
do all their stuff and buy table service at all the clubs.
Charlie, when was the last time you went clubbing?
Me and Sue are about to do it tonight in Scottsdale.
Hey!
You two have fun.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Watch Amadeus.
SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. Bye!
Antonio.
Sometime you exploded, drop a few lines. When I catch you through the static, I wish goodbye. What a classic. Millennial girl in love once again. When it comes, she disappears. Maybe she'll stay.